Here's a quick weather update for today. Welcome to this severe weather alert day broadcast. I'm Joshua Weisel here in the Weather 225 Storm Studios. We have a couple things to mention, and as we start heading into fall, we're starting to see that jet stream pattern adjust into a slightly more active pattern, and with that, that's what I call our second storm season. We start getting these thunderstorm chances throughout the fall season. So we're getting our first taste of that today, as there is a slight risk for some strong to severe storms across the area later today into the late night hours. We're talking later this afternoon into the late night hours overnight tonight. And we're keeping a very close eye on it. So 70% chance for some strong to severe storms across portions of the area. The greatest bulk of the activity is basically going to be along into the west of I-35. Today's high is going to be around 94. We're just going to show you the forecast real quickly for today before we get into our severe weather risk. And then overnight tonight, we're going to be in the lower 70s with a risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms into the late night hours, so around or after midnight. And then we should start to see that clear out as we head early into the morning hours on Wednesday. All right, so here's our severe weather risk for today, and as you can see, there's a large portion of the area that is under this slight 2 out of 5 risk. That's the area shaded in yellow. Outside of that, we have a marginal risk. And so the DFW area is not included in the slight risk just because there is some back and forth with the short range models with overall storm coverage today. And I do want to point out there's a couple of runs that show the storms out west. They will be discrete in nature, so we're talking primarily wind and damaging hail risk today, but there's a couple of them that show a slight complex that moves into the area from the west, and that's going to start to weaken as it makes its way into the area. And there's a couple of models that have been off and on hinting at there could be some discrete cells ahead of that fire up basically along the I-35 corridor. It's just a question of whether or not we see these. And just to be 100% clear, this is not going to be a widespread, every single individual neighborhood, suburb, person in North Texas is going to see these storms. This is going to be primarily an isolated to scattered event, especially further to the west. So this could be a high impact, low coverage event. You've heard us mention that a couple times, meaning that there is the potential for some significant storms, but not everyone's going to see it. You want to stay alert to that. You want to be aware of the risk. Make sure you download that free Weather 225 mobile app, and just know that there is a risk today. But we are monitoring a couple of the trends that are showing either we do see some discrete cells in the metro that could be capable of large damaging hail up to potentially tennis ball size, maybe even a little bit bigger, or we're going to see the majority of that further to the west. So it's just going to be one of those things we're going to be watching throughout the day. And like I said, not everyone's going to see it, but you want to be aware of that risk. So I'll show you the individual risks. Here's a look at our tornado risk. Really, the tornado risk is low to pretty much zero for North Texas. The greatest risk for that is going to be a lower tornado risk more towards the Oklahoma City area outside of our coverage area, so we're not really concerned about that. But we're getting into the hail risk, and that's when we start seeing this 15% chance. And like I said, it is greater to the west-northwest of DFW just because some of those models are in less agreement of whether or not we see anything here in the immediate metro. Keeping a close eye on the metro, though, just in case. We want to make sure all of our bases are covered and we do our due diligence. And then here is a look at the significant hail risks. This is when we're talking 2 to 3 inch hail. The Storm Prediction Center usually issues these when they are concerned for the risk of large, significant hail, more to the size of tennis ball or larger. So that's why we highlighted the risk is for 2 to 3 inch hail. So we could see hail up to baseball size with the absolute strongest storm. That doesn't mean every one of them is going to see it, but it is a risk that we need to be aware of. The next risk, here's a look at our wind risk, and we don't have any significant hashed areas for this, so there's nothing to show there. But 60, 70 mile per hour winds are also possible with storms today. All right, and finally, here's a look at our storm timing. We're going a little bit earlier with our timing as opposed to what we were kind of thinking earlier. And the reason we're going earlier is because we could see some early initiation with some isolated storms, especially in our western counties. So we're going to be making sure that we cover all of our bases. So between 5 o'clock this afternoon and midnight is when we're going to be watching the Metroplex. And then later, we're going to be talking 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. further to the east. And then, of course, in our western counties, we're generally talking 3 to 10 o'clock tonight, as the western counties are going to see the activity before us. But in the event that we see any sort of isolated storms that do happen to fire this afternoon, we're keeping our bases covered, and we're talking 5 o'clock to midnight, generally along into the slight east in the Metroplex along I-35, and that's what we're going to be watching. Like I said, not everyone's going to see storms. There's a chance that DFW doesn't see anything at all, but we want to make sure that you are aware of the risk, you're not caught off guard, and we want to give you as much information as possible so that you're prepared in the event that we do or do not see storms. So like we said, stay tuned with our free mobile app, live weather channel. Throughout the day, we will be giving you updates on this. So that's a look at what we've got going on across the Metroplex. Like we said, download that free Weather 225 mobile app, Google Play, Apple App Store. We're also on Amazon Fire TV and streaming 24/7 on Amazon and on YouTube. You can also find us on the mobile app streaming, and we are also on our website streaming this as well. Stay tuned for updates throughout the day.
Sun, rain, blistering heat, freezing cold, and Texas storms can damage the roof on your home or commercial building. For a free inspection, call the experts at My Pro Construction and Roofing. They're a DFW-based Platinum preferred roofing contractor with Owens Corning and Tilcor stone-coated steel. Fully insured, ask about the My Pro difference.
Due to recent storms, My Pro has boots on the ground ready to help you.
For a free roof inspection, go to myproconstruction.com.
For my home, it's My Pro.
Whether it's sunny, stormy, or snowy in North Texas, be sure to download our free Weather 225 mobile app.